So, have you ever wondered why it's so difficult to lose weight? Something I've certainly had challenges with, and many of my clients I've worked with over the years have also had challenges with knowing what to do in terms of the mental steps they need to take to lose weight, not necessarily the technical steps, because most people, let's be honest, they know what they should be doing to lose weight, but why is it we find it such a challenge? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you, I've got 7 steps down here that can help you to overcome the challenge of weight loss in today's modern society. Because let's be honest, you walk down any local high street in UK and you're met with coffee shops that are selling coffees, muffins, croissants, pastries. You've got restaurants, you've got fast food shops, you've got candy shops. You know, the whole thing seems to be set up to entice us to eat more than we actually need to eat, but we already know that. And on top of that, you've also got, the media that puts out adverts on certain foods, talks about certain foods in a certain way, creates certain emotions. I always think of the flake advert back in the day, and you may remember it. Only the crumbliest, flakiest chocolate. Excuse the singing, but that was an advert of a lady going through this meadow, slim as anything, enjoying this chocolate bar. But the reality is, the person going through that meadow eating that chocolate bar is considerably bigger than the person they're showing the advert. And there's a lot of psychology around food as well, in terms of the words they use to describe their foods, the smells, the packaging. It's all designed to entice us mentally and from an emotional standpoint, but also a physiological standpoint, because of the things they put in certain foods, certain chemicals that make us want to eat them more. I mean, you think of Pringles, once you pop, you can't stop, things like that. A Mars a day helps you work, rest and play. Take a break, have a Kit Kat. So it's very, very clever how we've been manipulated, I think, into eating way more food than we need to eat. So I want to share with you the sort of things I've shared with my clients over the years, like Caroline, who was able to take off 85 pounds, Sue, 71 pounds, Gaynor, 85 pounds. And they were able to do it despite being surrounded by this environment that encourages us to eat more. And I hold my hands up, I've fallen foul of this as well. I've had to, on occasions, rein things back in myself because I have allowed my waistline to expand. So let's dive into step number 1 in terms of what we need to start doing to start to fight back and start to fight fire with fire when it comes to creating a successful weight loss environment. And step number 1 begins with your internal environment, your self-talk, how you speak to yourself on a daily basis when it comes to food. And just stop and think for a moment. If I say to you right now, I want you to lose some weight, what are the automatic conversations that pop up into your head? For a lot of people, a lot of my clients, it's things like, well, it's going to be difficult. Well, I don't know if I can stick to a diet. Well, I'm going away in a week's time, so what's the point in starting? And these things pop up almost immediately, okay? They're even without thinking, they're there in your head. So step number 1 is just to become aware of your own thoughts. Not that you're going to change them immediately, but just become aware of the fact that you have these automatic thoughts that pop into your head that are less than useful. So that's number 1, becoming, because if you're not aware, you've got no way of doing anything about it. So that's number 1, becoming aware. Okay, number 2, let's go external from you. Let's talk about your environment, the places where you spend most of your time. And assuming you're a working person, that's going to be at home, work and socializing. And in those 3 locations, you are going to meet 2 people who can undermine your effectiveness of trying to lose weight. The first one is what I call a saboteur. The second one is what I call a heckler. Let me describe what these 2 people are, how they actually operate. So a saboteur typically is somebody that will say something like, you'll tell them you want to lose some weight, and they'll say something like, oh, you don't need to lose any weight, you're fine just the way you are. That's the classic sort of thing that people come out with, amongst other things. But that's a classic one. And more often than not, that person is either A, bigger than you, they're smaller than you or bigger than you, sorry, or big. No, you are bigger than them, and they don't want you to become any smaller than them, because that's not a good thing. Or maybe you're that sort of what I call mummy type of person that's got lots of good friends, got a great personality, got a great job, great family, and this other person is like stick thin, but they don't have those attributes. All they've got over you is the fact that they are slimmer than you, and they've always been that way. So the last thing they want is for you now to become as slim as them, as well as having all those other attributes that you naturally have. So that's how they'll go about sabotaging you, and it's done in a way that's almost so subtle you don't even notice it. I'll give you a quick example. A client I was working with, she was trying to lose weight, and she had a skinny friend. And one day a friend turned up at the door, knocked on the door. She opened the door up, and a friend was stood there with a cake, knowing full well that her friend was trying to lose weight, but she turns up with this cake. So they go inside the house, they're in the kitchen, she puts the coffees on, her friend says, would you like a piece of cake? She cuts a slice of cake, gives it to the lady I'm working with that's trying to lose weight. And the lady I'm working with says to her friend that brought the cake round, are you not having any? She goes, oh no, I'm fine, thanks. You see, it's too late, the cake's been cut, she feels obliged to eat it, and she's eating it at the same time she's seething about the fact a friend has done this to her. So you need to be aware of saboteurs. I'm going to explain how you can avoid saboteurs in a moment, or how you can protect yourself against them. So that's saboteurs. Hecklers are a little bit more subtle than that. Hecklers will say something like, you'll tell them you want to lose some weight, and they may say something like, oh, do you remember Sally? And apologies if your name is Sally, but do you remember Sally? And you're like, yeah, what about Sally? You know, she lost that 5 stone. You're like, yeah, she looked amazing. Yeah, well, you never guess what? She's only gone and put on, not just put the 5 stone back on again, but she's put on even more weight. So what is that telling you on a subconscious level? It's telling you, or saying to you, well, what's the point? Why are you even bothering to try and lose weight when Sally, who we both know, tried to lose weight and she put it all back on again? So the way that you can avoid saboteurs and hecklers, and what I say to my clients is, just don't tell anybody what you're doing. Keep your weight loss journey entirely to yourself. That way, nobody knows anything. If you decide to have a piece of cake, or you decide to forego not drinking alcohol, if that's something you've decided to give up, and you decide to have a glass of alcohol, there's going to be nobody there criticising and saying, I thought you were on a diet. Equally, when the weight starts coming off, you haven't got people there saying, don't lose any more weight, you've lost enough weight already because the diet you're on is making you look really skinny. If they don't know what you're doing, they've got nowhere to go. They can't really comment or criticise you because they don't know you're doing weight loss. So keep it to yourself. Number 3, I've got down here, set yourself an emotional goal. Not just a goal of I want to lose weight, and I'm going to show you and explain to you how you can break this down to 3 parts to make it really effective. But let me just explain why it's important to have an emotional goal rather than just having a straightforward academic goal like I want to lose, 70 pounds, which is quite bland, flat, nothing attached to it. You need to attach some emotion to it because of what I said earlier on. The way that the advertising companies are set up, the way the supermarkets are set up, the way the food shops are set up, they're designed to stimulate a certain emotion in our minds, so it makes us feel a certain way, and we feel the urge to want to eat some of this food, which, don't get me wrong, some of it is absolutely delicious, but if you're trying to lose weight, you have to find a way to overcome the urge to always be eating cakes, crisps, biscuits, drinking alcohol. You've got to find a way to do it. And if those things are enticing because emotionally they're enticing, we've got to fight fire with fire. So by creating emotional goals, you're going to be able to do this. And this is how you can do it. First of all, break your goals down to 3 different types of goals. Goal number 1 is going to be a vanity goal. Yep, I said that, a vanity goal. You want to look freaking amazing. You want to have an image in your head of how you look amazing, let's say in a dress or a suit or a particular item of clothing that you really want to wear. And then imagine, where are you when you're wearing the outfit? Who's there? How do you feel? What can you see? What can you smell? Really bring it to life so that you get an emotional response when you think about this goal. And that's important. It's important because when you're faced with the choice of, do I eat the cream cake, drink the alcohol, eat the croissant, and that's pulling you emotionally, if you've got something of equal emotional value on the other side that's greater than pulling you that way, you will automatically move towards the pleasurable thing. It will pull you in that direction. But if you don't have that, you'll naturally be pulled towards doing what you've always done, because emotionally that's more appealing. Even if intellectually you know that it's not helping you out, you'll still do it. And I know, because I've done it myself, and many of my clients have done it also. So that's goal number one. Second one would be, I'd say, a hobby goal. So for me, it's tennis. For you, it might be walking. It could be cycling. It could be swimming. But whatever your goal is, again, make it real. See yourself doing that hobby, enjoying it, having fun. Where are you when you're doing it? Who's there? How do you feel? Again, add some emotion to it. And the third one is a health goal. Now, this one, I recommend you go a bit negative on it. If you've got family members who are struggle with their health, like maybe your parents, struggle with coronary heart disease or osteoporosis or high blood pressure or something of that nature, and you know you've got that within your family, use that as a reason to try and avoid that happening to you. Now, there are no guarantees in life. You can be as fit as a fiddle, and we've all heard it said before, or this person was fit as a fiddle and they died running a marathon with no previous medical history. Of course, that can happen. But all things being equal, if you've got family members who have got a history of poor health and you're going down that same path as them, then I would highly recommend you use a health goal and visualize yourself avoiding what happened to your parents. Again, that's emotional. That's going to help you to stay on track. And while we're talking about staying on track and moving in the right direction, if you'd like a kickstart to your weight loss journey starting off today, below this video there is a link to a page that will take you through my Boost Weight Loss Assessment. Click on it, answer a few simple questions, take you less than 3 minutes, and you get back a full-blown report that will give you a kickstart for your mindset, your diet, and your exercise. So that's your emotional goal setup. Vanity, health, and hobbies. Step number 5 is your food environment. You know, what lives in your kitchen. It's a simple exercise. Get a piece of paper, A column, B column. A column, write all the foods that you know are going to be beneficial to you. And in the B column, all the foods that you know are going to be not beneficial to you. And then make a decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to get rid of the foods in the B column? Are you going to avoid them? Or are you going to exchange them? I recommend to my clients that they exchange them. Why? Because if you get rid of something in that moment of weakness, you can find yourself jumping in the car and driving like literally miles to go and get that bar of chocolate or whatever it may be. If you try and avoid it and you've had a bit of a rough day, guess where you're going? You're going to the cupboard and you're reaching in the cupboard for that biscuit or whatever it might be. Whereas if you exchange it, you are reaching for something and eating something and drinking something that can become a lifestyle habit that can serve you long term. So that's step number 5, what lives in your kitchen. Step number 6. What the heck have I written down here? Step number 6. Can't even read my own handwriting. Step number 6. Deal with your biggest food challenge at the moment. When are you at your weakest when it comes to healthy eating? Is it the evening? Is it the weekend? Is it when you go to social events? You know, what event triggers you to then go on to a bit of a binge or a sustained period of time where you eat unhealthily? And deal with that one area. Don't try and deal with everything. It's no good saying, oh, well, I snack in the evenings, I have a crappy lunch because I go out with my friends, and on the weekends I'm often out socialising. You can't deal with them all straight away. It's just too big mentally to suddenly go, right, I'm going to do it all. I would say pick one of them. Let's say it's the evening meal. You pick that, and maybe the way you deal with that, maybe if you find yourself always snacking around about, you've had your meal at 6 and then you find yourself in the cupboard at around about 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, I would suggest you deal with that first thing first, that first habit. And one of the ways of dealing with that I say to my clients is make sure you eat plenty of protein in your last meal because it will naturally satiate you. Crack that one, feel like you've been successful. That will then give you the motivation, the desire to then look at cracking something else, maybe the weekend stuff. So it's the first domino that gets tipped that then has a knock-on effect to all the other dominoes. And then step number 7 is to do with exercise. Now, I'm not going to talk about doing HIIT training or going to the gym or anything like that. All I'm going to simply say is this: be prepared to walk on a daily basis, ideally, and pick a time to do it. Set a time in the diary when you're going to get out and you're going to actually go and walk. Don't think about doing 10,000 steps. I think that's way too much for the average person for lots of reasons. Mainly, if you've never done it before, you're going to get injured. Start walking. If you think you can do 20 minutes, aim to do 10. Better to do less and then the next day know that you can do it again, rather than doing too much and then the next day dreading it. So there are my 7 tips. Comment below if any of those tips resonated with you, or if there are any of the challenges that you are faced with when it comes to losing weight.